Good evening and welcome to the February 15, 2023 regular meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners. I am Dr. Althea Riddick, the 2023 Chair of the Board. I'm joined tonight by Commissioner Jonathan Craddock, Vice Chair, Commissioner Linda Hoffler, Commissioner Brian Roundtree, Commissioner Emily Truman, County Manager Scott Sauer, County Attorney Pitt Godwin, and Clerk to the Board, Julissa Chestnut. Commissioner Hoffler will lead us in the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
If you please stand. I Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to come here tonight to do the business of the county. I ask your blessings upon us individually and collectively. Watch over us and grant us wisdom and discernment. As we come here tonight, let us hold up the family of Mrs. Hedgepath, who has passed away today. We help comfort her family and the loss of a loved one. As we go through this, we live in a democracy where people have a right to voice their opinions. But we also have to remember that people have a right to have different opinions and that we have to have civility and learn to listen to each other. If we learn to listen, we might realize that there's more that we agree on than we disagree on. We pray for that tonight and help us always think about what is best for all the citizens of Gates County, and that we have in our power to help make this a better place for everyone. All these things we ask in thy name for thy sake. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Clerk to the Board would administer the oath of office to Interim Manager Scott Sauer.
I, Scott Sauer,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support and maintain
the
Constitution and laws
Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as Gates County Interim County Manager. So help me God.
So help me God.
As he takes his seat, I've made it clear to Mr. Sauer that even though the contract says and the oath says interim county manager, he is the county manager until August 14th or so, whenever we can get a full-time county manager. So we welcome him. We will support him. He's already been on the ground 3 days now, and he's been working hard each and every day. So we thank you for giving us your service. He is retired, so it is a service when you come out of retirement just to do something that you love. So he said he loves it. His wife is ecstatic.
I don't know what that means.
He's found another purpose. So welcome, Mr. Sauer.
Thank you.
I need a motion to approve the agenda or agenda adjustments.
I move we go to approve the consent agenda.
No, regular agenda.
A regular agenda. Okay.
Okay. Second. We have a second by Commissioner Truman. All in favor? Aye. So moved. Now we have the consent agenda. Action requested, a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been approved, motion and second that we approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. And I encourage the commissioners and the attorney and Mr. Sauer to speak in the microphone. Pull it to you before Warren throws something at us. Okay. All right. We have some new hires. So I'm asking Buildings and Grounds Supervisor Crystal Phillips will introduce the 2 new hires in her department.
Good evening, Commissioners, Dr. Whitted. I have pleasures of coming up here to introduce my staff. I have Miss Dorothy Holland. She's been here now, helping me for a couple of months now. Thank you, Jesus. But anyway, she's my custodian worker.
Okay.
I have this young man, Trent Simmons. He's my maintenance tech. We having a little fun with trying to get him situated and, but I'm looking forward to, growing a little bit to get us going. And right now they're doing a great job.
Okay.
And I appreciate y'all's support.
Welcome. Thank you for coming. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Yes, we have Mr. David Forsythe.
Mr. David Forsythe?
Good evening, Commissioners, new County Manager, Sheriff, members of the public, County staff. I do appreciate the comments in your prayer for Commissioner Hoffler about respectability and civility, but again, I'm going to speak truth to power, whether people like it or not. So I want to touch again on the Board of Commissioners and your choice to treat citizens and other employees of the county pretty roughly. Last month I mentioned that expecting to be treated with respect and dignity while treating others with disrespect and arrogance is a sure sign of narcissism. I guess it's just going to continue. Last month you voted unceremoniously to move the Board of Elections to the old Health Department building near Easton's Crossroads. The extremely cloudy excuse given was something about protecting the historic structure in the Rosenwald School that the BOE currently occupies. Nobody argues about the value of our historic structures. It's worth preserving, no doubt about it. Seems like it's being done that way now. So this excuse falls flat on its face, as I noted last month. The building has been recognized for more than something like 11 years as a historic place by the state. Bringing tourism to the county is another implied and just silly excuse. I'd ask to show any justified evidence that the structure alone could, I guess, be the basis of creating a tourism office. Please show us anywhere that something like this in a tiny county has worked. Don't give lame half-truths about it stimulating the local economy. It's more likely to be an excuse to give a couple of taxpayer-burdened jobs to special friends. A few more sodas sold at local stores, a little bit of gas won't generate the taxes to pay to keep the lights on that remote tourist office once the BOE is moved. The taxpayer is going to foot the next bills that come along with this string as you decide to spruce up or enhance the interior of that building or spend money advertising that won't generate the revenue you spent. Your recent tour of that dilapidating building you want to force the BOE to move into there at the old Health Department building, I guess resulted in some things I've heard from several people, and if I've got my facts straight, it sounds like you don't want public scrutiny because you didn't allow the public to go. You didn't allow the local Republican Party chairman to go or the Democratic Party to show up. But then at the last second, you brought along the chairman of the Democratic Party to the meeting. At the last second, I was told his excuse was given for personal safety, which is ludicrous. It's my understanding that this is America, and we haven't seen anything but fairness from our local Board of Elections. But now our chairperson, in my opinion, is introducing it. This is an abuse of power or authority, and our other commissioners are just placidly condoning this with your behavior and acceptance. The building will require extensive repairs, including HVAC and likely mold remediation. a local building inspector doesn't have the ability to test for mold and to say, oh, a building inspector's inspected it so it doesn't have mold is total BS. I'm an environmental engineer and I can tell you that's not a case, not remotely. The cost of the move will be way beyond the small cost of the security fixes that the existing BOE building that were recommended by Homeland Security would cost. The health department, after significant repairs, perhaps $50K or more, will still run into another Homeland Security assessment that will likely have to just pay that same bill a couple years from now. So you're just delaying that bill, but you're going to introduce another cost now. And so I understand the BOE, the Board of Education, actually identified like $50,000 in grant money that's available, maybe even 2 grants for $100K if I got that right, to address the BOE needs in the existing building, which is only $12,000. Now, this commissioner board will now try to take credit, I suspect, for that BOE. Oh, we found another grant. The indication are that the chairperson specifically knew during the tour, or perhaps afterwards, that the BOE would never get to use that money. So let's talk about the $12,000 that was in the budget for them to use for these security fixes that went away. Let's talk about meeting emails that were sent to the wrong locations. Let's talk about claiming that you've notified the BOE meetings when you haven't. Let's talk about refusing to discuss or explain the $12,000 budget that got moved, that was in the budget that got moved to different places and you refused to talk about it. It's simply deleted and half excuses have been given to the public. There's nothing about openness about this, nothing remotely about openness about this. It's about abuse of power. It seems more likely that our chair is working to give a friend and a political ally the Rosenwald building for use in cultivating the climate that this chair now works. This undeserved condescension would be laughable, except it continues unchecked by the rest of the commissioners. You can say in your usual lengthy narrative after this is all done that I know what I'm talking about, or I don't know what I'm talking about, you know what you're talking about, and you refer indirectly about doing the right thing, which is often how tyrants pontificate on their abuses. I might be wrong on some of these points, but then again, if you keep the public in the dark or hide your nefarious actions, we won't be able to do anything except make assumptions or listen to those who hear from those persons that are most impacted directly. So to be honest with you, this is just silly, folks. I'm so disappointed in some of our commissioners in letting stuff like this happen. I'm pleasantly surprised by actions of others that didn't vote along for this silliness. It's personal abuse, it's personal happenings that are being done. It's sad.
Do we have any public comments?
No, any public comments.
Okay. We received a number of concerns from citizens in the Sunbury Coral Peak area about feral cats. We have letters, phone calls. So we're trying to figure out what's going on as far as animal control. So in looking at this, we do have an ordinance. This ordinance is entitled Animal Control Ordinance for Gates County, North Carolina. It may be cited as the Animal Control Ordinance. So we do have an ordinance on the books. And you can get a copy of this from the county manager. I'm going to give him this. We've talked about it, and I'm not going to read the entire ordinance. But 201.11, owner-keeper, a person having custody of any animal, including strays, feral cats, or dogs kept on their property and provided subsistence for 10 days or more after first reporting. Public nuisance prohibited. The action of an animal constitutes a public nuisance when an animal disturbs the rights of, threatens the safety of, or in any way injures a member of the general public, or interferes with the ordinary use and enjoyment of another's property, or interferes with law enforcement duties. Having an animal that disturbs the rights of, threatens the safety of, or in any way injures a member of the public, or interferes with the ordinary use and enjoyment of one's property. Allowing or permitting an animal to damage the property of anyone other than that of the owner, possessor, including but not limited to turning over garbage containers or damaging gardens, flowers, or vegetables, or defecating upon the property of another. Maintaining the animals in an unsanitary environment which results in an offensive odor or is dangerous to the animal or the public health, safety, or welfare, or failure to maintain a condition of good order and cleanliness. In addition to any other enforcement remedies available under this chapter, if the animal control officer declares an animal to be a nuisance under this section, the animal control officer has the authority to order the owner to confine the animal in accordance with the animal control officer's instruction. It shall be unlawful for the owner to fail to comply with such an order or with an instruction in this order. This over to Mr. Sawyer to follow up with the
Thank you, Mr.
animal
Chair.
control. And you can get a copy of that if you so desire. We can give you copies. And I also had Ms. Hoffler go by, what is it, the animal control?
Tri-County.
Tri-County Animal Control, and they informed her, because we had heard that they're not picking up cats anymore. We won't take cats anymore. And I think we were informed that they can take two
Per week
they can take 2 per week
from the county.
from each county, 2 per week from each county. So that's what we've been doing, trying to figure out what's going on. And now, since Mr. Sauer is on the ground, I'm going to turn it over to him to follow up with the sheriff. That's where the animal control officer reports. So I just want the people who have been calling and sending letters to know that we took our time trying to figure out what to do with those feral cats. Okay. Now we have special guests. We have Trillion Annual Report Presentation by Mr. Bland Baker. You have a handout with the PowerPoint presentation at your desk.
Madam Chair and members of the Commissioner Board, I appreciate the opportunity of being here. I've brought Bobby Lowe with me as well. I'll talk about her in just a minute, but I did want to tell you all that February 28th will be my last day as the Northern Regional Director. I'll be retiring after 28 years, and so it's been my pleasure to work with Gates County. And like Mr. Sauer, I have loved my work. Unlike him, I will not be coming out of retirement. So I brought Bobby Lowe with me tonight, and I'm going to break her in and let her do part of this presentation. She is the new Northern Regional Director, so she will be serving Gates County as long as we go. So, Bobby, go ahead.
All right. So thank you for letting us come tonight to share this information. We're going to go over real briefly about what's been going on the past year with Trillium Health Resources. Tonight we're going to talk about just a little bit about who we are. Do I click?
You ask him to move it.
All right, so we're going to talk just a little bit about who we are, talk a little bit about Medicaid transformation, some organizational changes, and then some specific data.
And roll on.
All right. All right.
Bob said.
I got you. Okay.
Okay. So we're 28 counties. The newest counties are Halifax and Bladen. Our population is about 1.5 million. We served about 46,000 people last year. 70% of that was mental health, 20% was substance use, and 10% was IDD. We're contracted for about 550 behavioral health providers who serve people from our catchment area, and all those services came to just under $521 million. Thank you. All right, so we've got 3 regions. Gates County is in the northern region. There are 11 counties in that section. Just some information about Medicaid transformation. July of 2021, Medicaid moved to a managed care model. Most people who are Medicaid eligible, even those who have mild or moderate behavioral health needs, are managed with, their care is managed through one of the standard plans. There are 4 commercial plans and 1 provider-led entity. And Carolina Complete Health, which is one of the standard plans, is who we partner with to be our standard plan partner for our care. The 6 MCOs in North Carolina will be tailored plans. That's going to be effective now April 1st. That was originally July, then December. It's been pushed back to April 1st. That's our go live date now. We did a soft launch of tailored care management December 1st. And what that all kind of means is that for people who have severe mental health, substance use disorder, or IDD population, we'll be managing their total health. Go on to the next slide. So that's the breakdown of all the tailored plan regions where the Eastern will be doing this for everyone on our side of the state. So we started with the care management. We are eventually going to be contracting with the pharmacists. We're going to have a pharmacy benefit manager because we'll be managing pharmacy for people who fall under tailored plan. We're going to have about 2,000 contracts for pharmacies. We're also contracting with your primary care doctors now, your specialists, your cardiologists, your hospital, because we'll be managing total care for people. So it'll be true integrated care. And then Bland is going to talk with you about some of the organizational changes within Trillium.
Thank you, Ms. Lowe.
One of the reasons I think that even though this has been a messy process, I think, moving forward, the bottom line is I have one card. And I can get my psychiatric medications with that card. I can get my regular medicines. I can go to my psychiatrist. I can get my flu shot. Everything that I need will be managed by one organization. So everybody will know what's going on with me, and they'll know how to help me, because they'll have someone that will be managing that total person's care, which when it comes to pass, it'll be great. So it is a work in progress. So some of the things that we have had changes in, and we're continuing to change in our organization, there's requirements by the tailored plan that we will implement April 1. All of our system of care staff that were under the regional operations, they've been moved to care management to prepare for care management. So we've hired some new positions to fill those community liaison coordinators that will be in every county, including Gates County, and they are already attending all the meetings in Gates County, so they can be educated and they can educate all the agencies that participate in those meetings. So the county is another way that they can be educated about the process and about what's going on. Next slide. So, we've always had a member services line, a main line for Trillium, and we had a crisis line that worked 24/7, 365. So with the implementation of the tailored plan, we got to have a pharmacy line, we got to have a provider line, we got to have a nurses line, so that if there's any questions about medications, they can call their pharmacist, or about their care, their medical care, they can call the nurses line. If a provider has any issues with Trillium or how they're billing or what's going on with them, they can call the provider line. And then, of course, we continue to maintain the crisis line and then the member services line. In addition to that, Bobby's already talked about the care management, the whole person care, that we will be managing all of our folks that are tailored plan members will have a care manager that will be managing their care across the board. Next slide. So just some of the special projects, kind of wrapping up. We actually, I know you all got some settlement money or getting settlement money. We got a little bit too. So what we have done with that, we actually are advertising in our counties through an RFP. We've done it through flyers, and we actually did do one round of those, and we did award 11 contracts. No one in Gates County the last time applied, but it's things like buying medications around opioid use to treat opioid use. It could be for Narcan kits, it could be for lock boxes, and so we put out another round of RFPs, hoping that we'll have a lot more response from our counties. So the mobile clinics, you all have a mobile clinic. I wasn't able to get the data before I came tonight, but there's been a little bit of a struggle with attendance or getting appointments, and that could be for a lot of reasons. And of course, I keep trying to think to myself that part of it is because the whole point of those mobile clinics was to put them in areas where there wasn't anybody there. So where transportation might be a problem, or they live too far to get to a provider. So the referrals have been a little slow, and we're looking at ways to kind of increase that. And if any of you have any ideas about other places in Gates County that you might think that they would work, we're open to any suggestions you have. And Bobby is the person to call.
February 28th.
Right, that's right. Next slide. So specifically for Gates County, we actually served 192 individuals last year, and 143 of those had mental health issues, and the substance use number should be 22, and the IDD number should be 56, I believe. Yeah. 52, actually. I wanted to also let you know of some of our efforts. And I had talked with Dr. Riddick earlier in the year about this. We actually do have a new therapist in Gates County. It's Rehoboth Counseling Services.
Right.
And she's been in Gates County for several months now. And I actually spoke to them today, and I think they were doing well, and they were getting referrals. So that's a great thing. And the other thing I really wanted to mention was about school-based therapy. We do have that. We are providing that in Gates County schools. It is a situation where we contract with the school's input on a provider that will go into the school system. Every how many days they negotiate on campus to provide outpatient therapy for kids that are struggling with bullying, suicide, any of those kinds of things. So that's going well. They, I think currently as of today, I believe they had 44 new referrals. So that's doing well as well. So anything that we can do to be creative to try to figure out how to reach more folks in Gates County, it's a struggle for Gates County. It's a struggle for us to try to bring providers in, even when we use incentives like enhanced rates. It's still difficult, so we do the best we can. So anyway, that's my report. Any questions?
Okay, I know your mobile clinic is set up at the community center. You know, we do have GETS about transportation if they
Yes.
to provide if that is the issue. I don't know. And what is that at Gates at the bank? What is that service?
That's it's outpatient therapy.
Outpatient.
With a
And I'm not
license
sure that that is well publicized in Gates County.
Okay, well, I mean, we can certainly try to do something about that. Yeah, she's been in, well, and she started in Hertford County in a hospital, and she did expand to Gates County, and we were happy that we could get her.
Oh, well, exactly. We have needs.
Okay.
Right. So. Oh, I wanted to say, I'm sorry. I met with Commissioner Roundtree. He's going to be a great asset to my Trillium board, or to your Trillium board. And you know, we met probably about a month ago and went over some things about Trillium. He's already been to one of my board meetings. He's been sworn in, so he's going to be a great advocate for Gates County. So thank you for your support already. So, and now I am through.
Don't be a stranger.
Also, I have a comment. I'm looking forward to the Provider Resource Fair in Currituck. That's going to be great and informative for the citizens to know and ask questions for the providers.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
A lot of good information. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
We're moving now to item 7, public hearing. Is there a motion on the floor to open the public hearing relative to amendment to tobacco use in county buildings, vehicles, the smoking policy?
So moved.
Second.
So moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We'll start off with a presentation from Ms. Shayla Hayes and Teresa. Yeah, wait. I think he's pulling up your PowerPoint now. And I think they passed out an infographic to all in attendance. If you didn't get one, there's some at the front. If you'd like to have one, they're at your desk. It's an infographic about Gates County, North Carolina. And also, they gave us a copy of the PowerPoint. It's at your desk. Tobacco awareness and regulation in Gates County. You can follow along. All right.
All right. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, County Manager Sauer, and members of the public. My name is Shayla Hayes, and I'm here with my colleague Teresa Beersley. We work at Albemarle Regional Health Services, where I'm a public health education specialist. I'm also the coordinator for Gates Partners for Health, and Teresa is our regional tobacco prevention and control manager. We stand before you on this evening to give a quick presentation on tobacco awareness and regulation as it relates to Gates County and the county's current tobacco policy. I also want to say it's a pleasure to be back before you this evening. We were last here a little over a year ago. presenting on tobacco prevention and the county's authority to institute tobacco-free policies as a result of a recommendation that was made via a letter from Gates Partners for Health. And we were asking the board to consider adopting a comprehensive 100% tobacco-free policy. And so we're before you all tonight to follow up on that. So I'm going to begin by briefly taking a look at how evidence and findings of health impacts from tobacco use have developed over time. Over 50 years ago, in 1964, Dr. Luther Terry shocked the nation when he released the first Surgeon General's report that linked smoking to lung cancer and heart disease. In January, the 32nd Surgeon General's report on smoking and health was released. Secondhand smoke is the combination of smoke from the burning end of a cigarette and the smoke breathed by smokers. This also includes the aerosol that is generated through the use of e-cigarettes and vaping. Secondhand smoke contains more than 7,000 chemicals, and hundreds of those chemicals are toxic, and about 70 of those cause cancer. In 2006, the Surgeon General's report showed that there is no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke. This data was instrumental in building support for smoke-free policies such as North Carolina's smoke-free restaurants and bars law. Since the 1964 Surgeon General's report, 2.5 million adults who were non-smokers have died because they breathed secondhand smoke. As little as 5 minutes of secondhand smoke exposure can hurt you and increase your risk for asthma and heart attacks. Being around an active smoker presents a significant health risk to those who do not smoke. As you can see here, secondhand smoke contains the same toxins that smokers inhale, and more than 42,000 non-smokers die a year from secondhand smoke exposure. This includes babies who die of SIDS due to smoking in the home or while the mother is pregnant. The 2014 report provided more evidence of the serious damage smoking does to the human body. It also commemorated the anniversary of the first report that laid the foundation for today's programs to reduce disease and death caused by smoking. This slide highlights that smoking causes disease in nearly every organ of the body. I wanted to bring to your attention the 2021 Community Health Assessment data indicated that the top 3 leading causes of death here in Gates County were heart disease, cancer, and cerebrovascular disease. And as you can see in this diagram here, all of those are listed there as results of smoking. Smoking and tobacco use is also impacting our youth. About 90% of tobacco users start before the age of 18. And the 2016 Surgeon General report highlighted e-cigarette use among youth and young adults and how it impacts their health. The report revealed that e-cigarette aerosol is not harmless. Most e-cigarettes do contain nicotine, and they can harm brain development, impact youth learning, memory, as well as their attention span. It can also increase risk for future addiction to other drugs. And this graph here shows tobacco product use among middle and high school students. And as you can see, e-cigarettes are the #1 product used by youth. This graph indicates that e-cigarette use among youth continues to increase. And we also wanted to highlight that the Surgeon General report also reported that e-cigarette products can be used as a delivery system for cannabinoids and potentially other illicit drugs.
All right, tobacco use is the leading cause of preventable disease and death in North Carolina and the United States. Again, looking at this chart, you can see the breakdown And again, to the right, if you look at Gates County Community Health Assessment data with the top 3 causes of death in Gates County. Tobacco use financially does cost everyone as well. Tobacco use increases employee absenteeism and healthcare costs. So if you look at this chart, you can see that $3,846 that cost per smoker in excess healthcare costs and lost productivity. $3.8 billion in healthcare costs alone for North Carolina, which equivalates to $888 per household. All right, so this is the interesting part. Quitting is hard, and the most interesting part, though, is that 60% of all smokers want to quit. They attempt to quit each year. 5 to 7 attempts it usually takes to succeed in quitting, but most do not utilize the evidence-based interventions that we know of to help make that process work for them. So those evidence-based practices to reduce tobacco use and to help those quit are 100% tobacco-free policies, media campaigns, access to cessation, and price increases and reduce to access to youth. The Community Preventive Service Task Force recommends smoke-free policies to reduce exposure to secondhand smoke, to reduce the prevalence of tobacco use, increase the number of tobacco users who quit and stay quit, reduce the initiation of tobacco use among youth, reduce tobacco-related morbidity and mortality, and reduce healthcare costs substantially. So we're here to let you all know that local government does have the authority to regulate tobacco use in government buildings, on government grounds, including government-owned parks and recreation, in government vehicles, and enclosed public places. So what is left unchecked in Gates County? Tobacco-free government grounds, government-owned parks and recreation areas, and of course, smoke-free public places, including e-cigarettes. Oftentimes we receive questions about compliance. Compliance is about education, communication, providing signage, providing cessation, access to that cessation, shifting that actual cultural norm in Gates County, partnering with a wide variety of partners to help make this happen. So what will we do with Gates Partnership for Health and Albemarle Regional Health Services to help you? Of course, we've already worked with you to provide a written policy. We will provide tobacco-free signage in English and Spanish. We'll provide window clings if you want window clings for buildings. Quit line information for the public and for those that might work for you. Tobacco-free doormats if you so wish, and of course education on quitting. So we're here to ask you to check these boxes that are left unchecked in Gates County. Tobacco-free government grounds and government-owned parks and recreation. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone signed up for public hearing? No one signed up from the public for public hearing. Hearing no more comments on the presentation, is there a motion on the floor to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
There's been motion and second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Commissioners, you have heard the presentation. This is the second time they've been before us. This is the public hearing that we were necessary for us or required for us to publish and to go through. Are there any other questions before we vote? I need a motion. To approve or not to?
I make a motion to approve. Our schools already are smoke-free in this county. And the football fields and those things are already, if I'm correct, I believe I'm correct. So it's just the government buildings that we're
And
talking about.
grounds.
And if we could keep someone from start smoking or help them quit, so, because they can't smoke, I'm for that.
Second.
Second, have a second by
Second.
Commissioner Truman. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Hayes, especially we thank you for your presentation. I think Gates County is going to be better for this. We'll begin to county manager to make this happen as far as whatever next procedures are, and to work with Ms. Hayes on getting those free assistance that I saw. I paid attention to that to help us publicize this, and compliance is about education. So we look forward to working with you through the county manager and his staff to make this happen. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is old business. Ordinance amending the water rates and fees as is found in the approved Gates County fees and fine schedule. At last month's meeting, a motion was made to bring the ordinance reflecting the water rate and fees effective for April the 1st, 2023, back to the February 15th regular meeting. That's in your packet. If you turn, if you want to take a look at it before we vote on this ordinance. So attached is the ordinance amending the water rates and fees as found in the approved Gates County fees and fines schedule. Board action required, a motion to approve or disapprove the adoption of the proposed changes to take effect on April the 1st, 2023. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Truman. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Craddock. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. The next on the old business is transferring of E911 to the office of the sheriff, and I call on our attorney, Mr. Godwin.
Yes, Madam Clerk and board members. It is my legal opinion that based upon the North Carolina General Statute, NCGS 153A76, it is both my desire and opinion, and I believe the board's opinion from the emails that I've received from each of you, that the 911 operations be turned over to the Gates County Sheriff's Department effective on March 8th of 2023. And the reason for the effective date being down the road is because of finances, payroll for this month. But you have authority to make that motion, to second that motion, and to vote on it through this statute.
I make the motion that we follow the statute as read by the county attorney to approve the transfer of E91 to the office of the sheriff effective March 8th. Do I have a second?
Second.
We all, go ahead.
Okay.
Give it to Commissioner Roundtree.
It's been properly moved and second that we will transfer, or the transfer of E911 to the office of the sheriff effective March 8, 2023. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? County manager, this is official, but we know we have some administrative work to do, paperwork to do. If it's your staff, the finance staff, I see Ms. Marie sitting over there with her laptop taking notes. So
We will work to make sure there is a smooth, efficient, and seamless transition and cooperate fully with the sheriff and his personnel.
all right. Thank you. C is the summit contract, and I'm going to turn that over to the county attorney as well.
Yes, ma'am, and board members and Madam Chair, on the summit contract, I will put that on my back. I'm just getting back from a vacation and have not had time really review the Summit contract to the extent that I'm completely comfortable with it, and I would ask that you table this and give me, say, until early March or sometime.
Early March.
So that I can completely review it.
I make a motion then to table it till March.
I have a motion to table. Do I have a second? Which one? Truman.
Pick one.
Commissioner Truman has seconded the
somebody.
motion. That's okay. It's been properly motioned and seconded that we table the Summit contract to early March. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, moving right along. New business. Turn to your packet with new business. The Gates County 2018 CDBG-NR signature card resolution. Do you see in your packet that the official signature list will change, removing former County Manager Timothy Wilson, County Manager, and Scott Sauer, the interim County Manager, will be added, and Mr. Scott Sauer is also the designated finance officer for the county. The signature current for 4 persons authorized. So Mr. Wilson's being removed from the original 4. We have the chair, the vice chair, and the clerk of the board that can sign those forms. So the board action required, a motion to approve the change, removing Timothy Wilson, County Manager, and adding Scott Sauer, Interim County Manager, to the designated finance officer for the county.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Budget Amendment F-2332 in your packet to cover shortage in expense line and installation of 911 furniture. Purpose of the amendment to cover the cost of labor to remove and install 911 furniture not included in the original contract. Also to move funds to cover shortages in expenditure lines. Action needed. Budget amendment form completed and submit to review for approval or disapproval. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Craddock, second by Ms. Hoffler. All in favor?
Aye.
For C, Budget Amendment F-23035 to appropriate funds for community center capital improvements. Get to that, hold on. The repairs to the community center, we have to do a budget amendment to expend those dollars that we're going to put into the improvements. So if there is any discussion, I will hear that now. Hearing none, we need a motion to appropriate funds for the community center capital improvements.
And this is money that we received from.
It's appropriation we received from the former Representative Howard Hunter and former Senator Steinberg. So that's where those funds are coming from.
So moved.
So moved by Truman,
Yes.
second by
I'll second.
Ms. Hoffler. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We also need a Gates County project ordinance, 23-01, Gates County Community Building Renovation Project. We have to have an ordinance for that. Interim County Manager Scott Sauer will discuss the Gates County project ordinance, Gates County Community Building Renovation Project. If you have anything to add to what you submitted.
Yes, Madam Chair, the item that the board just considered and approved was the budget amendment providing for the appropriation of the state revenue from what they call the SCIF fund, that's the State Capital and Infrastructure Fund. The project ordinance allows for the continuing of this project if it goes into multiple fiscal years. And I would think, given the calendar that we're on, most likely this project will extend beyond June 30 into fiscal 23-24. So the state has asked that we have both the budget amendment and the project ordinance put together in a tandem effort.
Okay. Any questions for the county manager on that? All right. Next is,
We'll need a motion.
can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Craddock, second by Commissioner Roundtree. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The next is the budget amendment F23037 to cover the overage that is not available through CDBG and R. No, I skipped one. Let me go back. Budget amendment F23-036 to appropriate grant funds for renovation and upgrades to medical center building. There will be a discussion about the appropriated grant funds for the renovation and upgrades to medical center building. What is the pleasure of the board once we have any discussion? Do we have any discussion? Do I have a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Roundtree, second by Ms. Hoffler. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we're going to Budget Amendment F23037 to cover the overage that is not available through CDBG and R grant funds to complete the remaining homes. These are the replacement homes that it was 4 of them, we have 1 left. And we have some overages that we need to cover. It's in your packet. Let me find it. The proposed $20,000 budget amendment is to provide necessary funding for a known cost overage in an amount of $10,000 and to also make additional funds available for any other potential cost overruns in order fully and successfully complete this 4th home replacement project by June 30th, 2023. That's in your packet. Do I have a motion?
And this will complete the project?
It'll complete the project. We think it's going to complete the project. The cost overrun was $10,000, and I think we county manager $20,000 to make sure that we had enough in the budget amendment to
Yes, ma'am.
make sure we get those homes completed. Okay? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been properly moved in second that we approve this budget amendment to complete the 4th home and any other unknown cost to make sure all 4 of the homes are complete by June 30th, 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Anyone opposed? Okay. We're down to, I think, the interim county manager duties about serving as finance officer as such. It's a state auditor's requirement that the finance officer be bonded. So I'll turn this over to,
That's correct, Madam Chair. The North Carolina General Statutes under the Fiscal and Budget Control Act require that your finance officer be bonded. The amount of the bond is $1 million. The county had previously had Mr. Wilson bonded. This transfers that authority and bonding protection to my name. We have worked locally with Mr. Ed Morgan on that. And as I had an opportunity to consult with the chair and the county attorney, I suggested that given my interim status and maybe at times limited availability, it would be advantageous for the board to have a deputy finance officer designated. And we have talked with Ms. Roundtree about that designation, and I think Marie is willing to jump in there with me in the canoe. And so it's really a 2-part recommendation. One, that she carry that designation as deputy Finance Officer, but also we have included as an addendum to your packet a position description that Ms. Christy Byram compiled for us this week with a thorough statement of duties and responsibilities. And since this classification is not currently available in the county's grade system, we'd like to have this approved by the board. So it's approval requested both for Marie to serve as the Deputy Finance Officer and to create this new position.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Sauer? Okay.
It's got to be done.
Everybody shaking their head, okay.
I mean, we have to have you, I mean, you have to be bonded, and we've got to do it, and we need to know that we have a backup too. And because, like you say, you can be out of place or whatever, so.
So the motion.
We want to be sure that everybody gets paid.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So I make a motion to approve interim as the, for the finance officer and have Marie Raintree as the
Deputy.
The deputy or the
Deputy Finance Officer.
deputy finance officer.
I second that.
And the establishment of the new position.
And the
Yes, and establishment of those two positions.
I second that motion.
Properly moved in second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Marie, for stepping up.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the Board of Commissioners set timeline for county manager search. You received that in an email from me to consider. I spoke with Mr. Emery. You met Mr. Emery in person when he came to help us with the search and the timeline. I see you looking at me. Okay. When the clerk looks at you, you stop. I know when the clerk looks at me, or the county attorney, or the county manager, I stop because something's going on. So, okay, I can continue. All right. You have that on your desk, or you had it in your email. And I spoke with Mr. Emery about the timeline, and he helped me with the structuring this. And this is subject to change because we don't know about the pool we're going to receive and all of that good stuff. So I'm just going to speak to it so that the public can hear. The ad would be posted this Friday, February the 17th, 2023. The posting will close March 15th, 2023. April the 1st, 2023, the commissioners complete review of all applications and rank applicants for interview. That's April Fool's Day. I just want to put that out there. April the 5th, there's a scheduled work session already scheduled on our board schedule, if you look at that. So if a proposed timeline is approved, that meeting can be used to choose the applicants to interview. Instead of calling a lot of meetings, we already have one scheduled. So that's why I put it like that. And that work session will also be used to finalize the interview questions and necessary logistics. Mr. Emery is going to provide us with a list of interview questions that we can look at and add, subtract, whatever that we're going to ask. But he's going to give us the draft of appropriate questions, then we can look at those and decide what are the questions we need to ask if he doesn't cover it. Then April the 15th, 2023, interviews begin. And May 30th, 2023, beginning date for successful candidate determined. This is in a assertive timeline. And he said it needs to be, we only have Mr. Sauer here August 14th. We're not going to rush this, but we just want to get it out there and see who applies and see if the pool is sufficient and what the commissioners think about it, and we'll move from there. We can change things around if we want to open it up again. If there is not a good pool of applicants, we just open it up again. So that gives us a wiggle room. So that's why this is so assertive, to see what we get. And if it's not, we can't get, we don't think as a board, we can open it up again. Discussion?
Madam Chair, I like the strategy of expediting the process so that we can have wiggle room in case that we do need time to find another county manager.
Okay.
But I'm in full agreement of the strategy, of the timeline.
I also took into account that we're getting ready for budget meetings. You know, so y'all gonna be working. So I looked at the calendar, and I still have to talk with the county manager and with Marie after they have their meeting. I think they meet tomorrow about the schedule and everything. So I took that into account as well as when I looked at what we have to do in the next 5 to 6 months. And I know that the commissioners have lives, they have jobs. And so I took that into account, but, you know, we got to do what we got to do. So I try to be as sensitive to the timeline as I could. Okay. Do I have a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve the timeline as presented.
I'll second that.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve this timeline with the understanding that it may have to be adjusted.
Right.
Depending on what happens.
Right.
Okay? All in favor? Ayes have it. Okay? Now we have commissioner updates. So this is the time that the commissioners will share with you what they have been doing since you last saw them. Mr. Brian Roundtree, I'll start to my left.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I had the opportunity to attend the Trillium Healthcare Northern Region Board meeting on January the 10th. Also, I attended the Albemarle Regional Health Board, Executive Board meeting on January the 24th. Gates County Community Garden will be having a Zoom meeting on February the 27th at 6 o'clock. We are in our planning stages and our development stages. I want to encourage the citizens to participate in this community project. A community garden is beneficial in so many ways, in the area of nutrition, in the area of education. Also, it's a form of therapy, and most of all, it's collaborating with others. So I encourage everyone to consider participating in this community project, Gates County Community Garden, and the Zoom meeting will be at 6 o'clock on February the 27th. Now, thank you, Gates County citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Roundtree. Mr. Craddock?
All right, it was a couple weeks ago, I can't remember the exact date, I attended a conference in Raleigh, a chairman's conference, to help better serve the community, just kind of keep us in check. They give you updates on general statutes and kind of the guidelines to go by. Really enjoyed that. It was a good opportunity, network, meet new people. There's a lot of new ideas out and about, so we'd like to bring some of those to the county. There's an event, this come from Brian Silvers, I believe I'm saying that name right. It will be Saturday, April the 8th at Easton's Crossroads Ballpark. They're looking for businesses and church and individuals to sponsor an Easter egg hunt. So they're happy to accept cash donations. And they have a wish list set up under Amazon if you would like to donate to them. So contact Brian Silvers, Terry Johnson Moore, Donna Klein, Lori Hoffman, Carol Hobbs, or Carolyn Moore. And there'll be some flyers out. And that is Saturday, April the 8th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Easton's Crossroads Ballpark. Mr. Silvers also, the Chamber of Commerce has reached out to all the small business centers to partner with us to provide resources to a new existing businesses in the county. So it's a resources that comes in from training classes and work sessions. So they have a attached survey that you can go on and take. So that's something else that we can look forward to. And then on Friday, March the 3rd, Hope Fellowship is hosting a spaghetti plate fundraiser for a Safe Haven Baby Box project at Station 80. They have raised around $11,000. It takes around $20,000 to have one installed. And this will be, there's very few of them in the state of North Carolina, so we are working towards getting one in Gates County. It's a good thing. If you'd like to know more about the Safe Haven Baby Box project, please speak with Mr. Kyle Truman. And like I said, that is on, repeat the date one more time, March the 3rd. Hope Fellowship is hosting a spaghetti plate fundraiser.
And that's also on the front page of the Gates County Index this week. I got it today and I was reading about it. We received that from Mr. Truman, Reverend Truman, but it's on the front page. So when you get your paper, you'll see it right on the front page, and we hope that you will help this effort in the county. Ms. Hoffler?
I attended the Clemens County, Chowan County, and Gates Landfill Commission Tuesday in Eaton. We are looking at our budget for the next year. This is, the money for that comes from our solid waste fees. The North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, of course, inspects our facilities, transfer facility that is in Belvedere. And there is, we're going to have to replace the tank caps by June 2025, but we're going to go ahead and do it this year because we have money's in the enterprise zone and get that done, because we have another project coming up that the pit wall and floor and push wall, we're going to be advertising for bids on that. That needs to be done by June 2025. We're going to bid that out as well. We're going to bid it out as two projects or as one. There's some pluses and minuses to both ways. We're going to be looking at that, but that we have a plan to make sure we have everything up and running and keep everything up and running. So it's a capital improvement plan that we have. As I said, the caps we can do with what we have in our enterprise zone, enterprise fund right now for this. Also from that, this year we'll be getting each of the counties will be receiving a new trash compactor. Now, I don't know which site will get that this year, but they generally pick out the one that is oldest to replace. They have a replacement policy as well. There is some, well, we are a little concerned about hauling rates and hauling. Because of COVID, we saw the prices really go up, fuel costs and surcharges. And so that contract ends in 2025. We are really exploring alternatives, where we can go, where we stay with the company we have. If we'll probably put out bids for all people to take to come up with their proposals. Even suggested we take it in-house, but we didn't think that was the way to go at all, because that means we're responsible for everything, and it's easier to write the check when you got to have trucks rolling and maintenance and all that. So that's with the PCG. We are working with tourism. 2 years ago, the General Assembly passed an act called Rural Tourism Recovery Program. It was 16 counties were indicated in that legislation. This year, the General Assembly gave funds for that, $1.5 million. And their idea is dream big in small towns in North Carolina. And it's divided North Carolina into 3 regions. We're in the Inner Banks region. That they started the rollout in the mountains, and then they're moving through the Piedmont, and of course the coast is the last one. And their purpose is to promote tourism from outside North Carolina to visit our state, encouraging people to stay, come here, spend nights, use Airbnbs, campgrounds, and other things. And we can capture them and keep them here for days to spend money here as well. So we are working with that. On Monday, Chanel Nestor from Raleigh came. She is the project coordinator for some of this. She made the trip down to North Gates County and spoke with a group of stakeholders concerning what they could do and what we needed to do. And I thought it was a very good meeting. And, you know, it was, I think it will be productive. She's very excited and also volunteered to help us with some other things as well. In this, we are also not only looking at this piece of legislation, but we're looking at things we can do to promote tourism. You know, we're working, we have some people from the chamber who are, you know, at the present time, we're collecting businesses and activities that go on in the county so that we will have a list of everything. And there's a lot of things happening in Gates County, and I thought I think I know a lot about Gates County. However, there's a lot of things I didn't know was happening that we need to make sure that we promote there in this area. We have people from county extension because farming is the #1 industry. Ag tourism is a big thing with Farm NC in the state. We have a lot of things that we could promote there as well. We have, you know, just, it really was people coming up with ideas and all, and I think you will see it's a very active group and they are really gung-ho, so hopefully we can get tourism off the ground because every dollar spent in North Carolina, in Gates County, it helps our tax revenue. And we have to increase our tax revenue.
Okay, thank
So
you.
that's my report.
Commissioner Truman.
All right. First, want to mention, just because I've had several calls this week, just to, I guess, confirm that the 911 center is currently undergoing the updates that have been promised. They have begun to update the equipment and the furniture, and hopefully over the next week, timelines stay on track and they're able to complete that process. But other than that, moving on to the opioid board that we are working with at the county. I'm currently working on trying to get time with the county attorney so that we can discuss some of that. There's been a new opportunity with a Wave 2 settlement to receive more funds for the opioid board in the tune of, they're distributing $600 million to various places, so we have the opportunity to receive another settlement there. We have a deadline of April 18th, which the county attorney has mentioned he and the county manager will be working on getting those documents in order and getting that in progress. I spent a lot of time and I'm really encouraged. My full-time job there is very close to my heart with that, and we deal with a lot of the substance abuse and such. So it's pretty encouraging, I think, as I'm reading the NACO, which is the National Association of Counties at the national level for this, the NCACC, so this North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, and then the Trillium websites, they all have different aspects of this if you're interested on the national, state, and then local levels. So those are great resources if you're interested in learning more, and I am looking forward to getting the board off the ground.
Okay. Thank you for all the updates, and my updates include your updates. It's time for the committees that you either selected or were assigned to get your committee structure together as far as reaching out to different people that have the requisite background to serve on the committee, such as opiate. We need to get that money. We have $42,000 that we have not touched, so you need to, Commissioner Truman, to get that committee. The form is ready, it's been updated, it's online. If it's not, the clerk could put it there. She added those new committees up there, and it's the same process. You apply, fill it out, attach a resume. We want a resume this time, because some of these committees have requisite positions, such as opiate. You know, we have a list of what I did with it, but, oh, here it is. Like social services, or DSS, EMS, EMT, Office of the Sheriff, Health Department, Gates County School System, faith-based, Chamber of Commerce, and local government. That's just some of the people that needs to be on the committee. Any others that you may identify to help make recommendations to the board of how to spend those dollars. The best practices are online, so please fill out the applications to serve on the opiate. With tourism, it's the same. Ms. Hoffler's done a lot of work. She has stakeholders already meeting and had people here from Raleigh. So if you want to be a part of the tourism initiative or committee, please do that. Commissioner Browntree is heading up the Economic Development Advisory Committee. He will work very closely with all of them work closely with the county manager, but especially with economic development. Sitting next to you is a person that's in his DNA. He's going to wear you out. So I look forward to hearing from all of you. And of course, Commissioner Craddock works with me on broadband. And I had a meeting yesterday, and I have another one this week, right? And I'll send you those notes. We're beginning to identify the mapping and where broadband is going, and we still haven't gotten a contract from the state. I keep telling you we don't have it. Hopefully we'll get it soon so we can take a look at that contract. I'll share it with Mr. Sawyer, that anything that comes in looks like broadband to forward it to me, and I will help him to understand and help walk him through it. So I appreciate the lead y'all are taking on these committees. And of course, the other standing committees, I'm going to ask the clerk to look at the standing committee, see whose service is up on, like the planning board or whatever those standing committees are, so that we won't be blindsided in the last minute trying to get applications in, encourage people. Encourage your neighbors to get involved in the county. The way you get involved in the county is serving on committees. Serving on committees and helping to lend voice to that. The other thing I want to update you on, that the district leader for the U.S. Congressman Don Davis, her name is Kimberly Mack Jones, she called me, she wants to visit the county and get to know Gates County. Don Davis is the new district, I think District 1. He took Butterfield's place. Butterfield retired. So she's coming here. We just got to get her on the calendar. I believe that Bill Ward has been in the county. He talked with the county manager and others in the county. He wants a list of projects that he can help with appropriations for Gates County. So he's on the ground. Steinberg's on the ground. So we're beginning to get people in place that can help us seek those grants that we need to move this county forward. We're doing really well. The water department is doing a yeoman's job as far as fixing leaks and doing things like that. The ARPA funds, $2.2 million. We have a tentative list. I've shown it to the county manager. I will have a webinar tomorrow from 1 to 2 to ask questions. There's a process to obligating, they call it obligating those funds. So I had a phone conversation yesterday with Ms. Jonna Sharp. She's with the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, and she's the point person for that. So I had a phone conversation yesterday. I have a webinar tomorrow, and once I figure out what to do and how to obligate those funds, it's a process. I talked to the county manager today about that process, and I think he has a finance meeting tomorrow with Ms. Stroud and Marie and
Former finance officer Ms. Outland.
Ms. Outland's she's moonlighting. She's going to help us out. So she'll be on the ground tomorrow. So if you see her in the building, she's not coming back. She made that quite clear. But she's going to come and help us through this trying time until we can find a finance director. So they'll have a meeting tomorrow, and they'll be talking about some things that must happen and try to get the timeline also, and I'll let him talk about some things after I complete, about bringing in the staff to present their budgets. For this year, for next year. So we're at that point now. We're getting ready to do that. And again, we have a lot of work to do, but we're looking for funding outside of our general fund. And what you heard tonight, some people maybe not understand grants, but you get a grant without a match, that's even better, because it doesn't come out of your property taxes at all, and that's what we do. If you need a match, we try to do the minimum. We don't go the high road, we take the short road. So that's what we're doing. We're working very hard at finding those external dollars and bringing them here to this county. And we're very transparent what we do. It's just that we're not going to, once we say something and approve it behind this desk, that's getting the business. What happens outside of this, from behind this desk, that's a discussion. So when we approve and we put it out there as far as this is what it is, this is how it works, and then we make motions and people approve it, we move as one. We move as one. That's a working board. So I just want the citizens to understand that what you need to know and when you need to know it, we will give it to you. Sometimes we can't say anything because it's confidential. And now we just sit here and listen to it and go about our business. But we're doing the best we can with what we have and doing it transparently. I have an attorney to my right that keeps me, he'll slap my hands. Now I have Mr. Sawyer to my left. He keeps us straight. And then the clerk give me that evil eye. I call them the 3 C's. County attorney, county manager, clerk to the board. When I see something happen, I stop and I say, what did I do? What's wrong? You saw me do it a little while ago. But I thank y'all for being patient with us. Please be patient. We're going to get better. County manager, this is your first business meeting officially, and I'm going to give you the floor.
Can I say one thing before he says anything? One thing. I forgot something.
Ask permission.
Can I take 1 minute?
1 minute.
One of the stakeholders at our meeting was Rogers, who is the superintendent at Merchants Mill Pond. Merchants Mill Pond will be celebrating its 50th anniversary, and they're planning a big celebration. That's also something we're going to help publicize.
Okay. That's good. Mr. County Manager?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the commissioners, thank you for this opportunity. And I'd like to highlight and emphasize the 2 items that Dr. Riddick just mentioned. The ARPA fund list, we'll get that out to you very soon to take a look at.
Mm-hmm.
The board will be asked to adopt a special budget ordinance just to direct the expenditure of the ARPA funds. I believe the total number is something around 2.2 million.
2.2 million.
Maybe a little more. And Representative Bill Ward, our new representative for this district, is very eager to get to work on the Appropriations Committee where he serves. And he would like to have a short list from each of his counties of projects that he described as needs and necessities. And I don't think we can overwhelm him with a list of 100 projects, but if we could get 4 or 5, 6 items on each one of those lists, I think it would be to all of our best interest. It might be a $25,000 allocation, it might be $250,000. We just don't know, but he's working hard and indicated he really wants to hear from Gates County.
Thank you, Mr. Sauer. Again, thank you for working with us and helping us out in this short term. And we're going to do our due diligence to release you back to your home and your retirement. But we're going to use you while you're here. And again, you are the county manager. I know he's been around visiting different departments. He's got a few more people he wants to meet. We rode around last week, and I gave him a tour of the county, and I think he enjoyed seeing some of the buildings and people. And he's been walking around back and forth. We figured out that he's figured out he's got to dodge the trucks. I told him, be careful going across the street. So I think he learned. You got to dodge all the traffic that comes in front here. And we laugh about that he needs a crossing guard. I'm not his crossing guard. He get hit if he want to, but I'm going to make it. But thank y'all for coming. If that's all we have, I have a motion for adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
That was Truman and Craddock. All in favor?
Aye.